Today on the Transplant Helper, I'm going to be stepping out of my norm per se to talk about 7 things you can do in order to prevent or help your dry skin. Stay tuned. Hey folks, welcome to Transplant Helper. Today, my name is Jim Merle, and today we're talking for just a few moments about that dry skin that I know you have this time of year. Now, many of us transplant patients suffer from excessively dry skin for basically 2 reasons. Number one, it could be medication based. There's no doubt some of the medications we take into our body take a toll on our bodies, including to an extent dehydrating or even drying our skin out. So that's always going to be an issue for us. It's kind of an unget-overable issue, if you will. In the second place, oftentimes we as transplant patients suffer from excessively dry skin during the wintertime because we're constantly trying to avoid getting sick. So we're doing a lot of excessive hand washing, maybe a few extra showers here and there, that sort of thing that's really taking a toll on our skin. And albeit it's much better to have dry skin and not have the flu, still, there's a balance there where we have to take care of ourselves, especially as far as our comfort goes. So as I give you these 7 things today, and that's how many there'll be, I want you to listen carefully and try to stay all the way to the very end, because I promise you, number 7 will more than likely surprise you when I say it. So just hang on for that. But nonetheless, let's take it from the top. Number 1, take cooler showers. I know it's the temptation. You've been out in the cold all day, or maybe you just stepped out to the mailbox like I have for a time or 2 each day. And as you go out to do that, you get that chill. And immediately the first thing you want to do when you get back in the house, at least when you have time and when time's right, you want to jump in that hot, steaming shower. And you think to yourself, you know what? Not only is that going to take this chill away, going to warm my bones, going to loosen my muscles, make me feel good overall, as I've talked about on previous programs, even potentially lower that blood pressure a little bit. When you do that, you might be thinking that a hot shower would actually be helping your skin by opening up some of those pores. But that's actually the back opposite when you're thinking about or talking about dry skin, especially if you're already experiencing some of those redness, some of that itchiness, scratchiness, flakiness, whatever. Actually, if you get into a hot shower when you already have the dry skin, or it could be causing the problem initially, that hot shower is actually opening up those pores, true enough, but it's allowing too many of those oils to be expelled and eventually washed away in the shower. So a hot shower is actually the wrong thing to do in light of dry skin. As a matter of fact, a cool to warm shower is probably going to be much better for you. And then while you're there, making sure you're not using really harsh soap products and stuff. You're using something with a little bit of moisturizer in it to begin with, and not scrubbing. I realize sometimes we go out in this germy, nasty world and we feel like we need a good SOS pad to scrub ourselves down. That's probably not the case. A soft cloth will be a better option. Just kind of rub yourself down, let yourself get clean, rinse off well, and jump out. So that's the first thing. Make sure those showers are cool and not hot. Number 2, and most people realize this one, when you immediately get out of the shower, again, don't scrub yourself with those towels. Just kind of tap off, and then within about the first 2 minutes or so, go ahead if you need to and apply some kind of moisturizer, some kind of lotion, some kind of body lotion, whatever it is, hand lotion. Go ahead and put that on your body within the first 2 minutes, because even though you've kept those showers a little bit cooler, it did still open those pores up a little bit. So while those pores are open is the best time to put that moisturizing layer back on it so it can be more quickly and better even absorbed by the body. So be sure you moisturize within about 2 minutes after that shower. Number 3, if your skin continues to be dry and you see fit to do it, consider taking a bath but putting some oats in it, or oatmeal, if you will. You can either purchase one of these pre-made packets, which I'm technically kind of against. There's a lot of things added to that we don't really want, but go ahead and buy that standard oatmeal, but put it in a blender, put it in some sort of grinder, or really you can even just toss it in a Ziploc bag and just kind of scrub it and rub it for a few minutes, and then dump it into your bath water. Or in my case, I'm not most likely to do that. My problem primarily being my hands and my feet. I might just set up a bowl or set up some type of, a bucket, put this thing in there, and then soak my hands and or feet in it for a while, and the oats will help a lot. It goes a long way to soothe the skin, especially if you're careful, even in that case, not to try to scrub. Just let them soak. Let the oatmeal do its job. That's the best way to handle it. Number 4, and this one is one that oftentimes I overlook, and that is consider using a humidifier. Having that little bit of extra humidity there just allows your skin that opportunity, if it would only take it, to just stay moist, to stay, not wet, obviously, but just to stay a little moist and just really help you out overall. And that'll do a lot for your sinuses, for potential colds and coughs and sore throats. It'll do an awful lot if you'll do that. But be reminded as you do to be sure to be cleaning out that humidifier on a regular basis. And that goes farther than just dumping the water and refilling it the next night. It actually means taking a little bit of a Clorox, a couple tablespoons, and putting in with the water, scrubbing that around, dumping it out, or using some vinegar mixed with water. That's the best 2 ways to clean a humidifier. But nonetheless, a humidifier will sometimes help you out a little bit, even with the dry skin. Number 5, and that is, be sure when you're choosing some type of lotion to use, choose a lotion that has the least amount of ingredients in it. And I know it's attractive to go out and buy all these scented lotions, to buy all these things that, have all these wonderful chemicals probably that we've never even heard of, and to smear that all over our skin or our bodies or our hands, whatever. But that's not usually the best route. Usually, my way of thinking is, if you cannot pronounce or understand the ingredients on any given bottle, don't put it on your body. That's the best rule of thumb. On a side note from that, look for products that contain things like aloe vera, contain things like lanolin, and then glycerin. Glycerin is a good ingredient to be up higher on the list, especially if you go back to the point we made earlier about moisturizing immediately after a shower, because glycerin is one thing that helps that to get into your skin very quickly and to stay there. In addition to that, you can choose thicker products over thinner, as they tend to coat a little bit better, therefore last longer. But in all that said and done, the best thing you can put on your skin by far is plain old petroleum jelly. Pretty much that is the best thing you can use. Other products are out there. I think the products made by Vaseline are good products, that sort of thing. That's a lot of opinion rolled into that. But Vaseline and or plain petroleum jelly is probably your best bet. So that was number 5. Number 6, and I got to get 2 hands up for this. Number 6, if you're going to use hand sanitizer, which you probably will as a transplant patient pretty often, people have different opinions on that, try to find one that is not alcohol-based, or if it has that alcohol in it, it's not very much. Pick up a couple of different brands, a couple of different bottles, look at the options, and try to find one that has the least amount of alcohol. Alcohol, yes, kills germs, does a great job at that, but at the same time in doing that, really, really, really dries your skin and takes a toll on it. So always try to choose a hand sanitizer that you're going to use, especially when you're out and about and can't wash those hands. Try to use one that has the least amount of no alcohol possible. Those products are available. You just got to do your research. And then here it is, number 7. I ask you to wait all the way to the end. And I want to tell you, this is the one that is most important. Go get drunk. And when I say that, I don't mean being drunk with alcohol. I mean, go get drunk with water. Get yourself a cup, a bottle, a jug, whatever you have to do. Get yourself hydrated. We need to be taking in water all the time. And I realize sometimes we think about that in the summertime. There's so many recommendations out there for water. I don't know what's right. Some people will tell you, well, you need to drink an ounce of water for every pound. Well, that'd probably really mess you up. In my case, I weigh about 180 pounds. That's a lot of water given every day. I don't know if that's necessarily the rule of thumb. Others will say, well, you need to drink an ounce of water for every degree of temperature it is outside. So if it's 75 outside, 75 ounces of water today. That's probably closer to a better rule of thumb. But nonetheless, most of us would be better off all the way around if we probably did drink 60 to 70 ounces of water per day, not necessarily gulping that, but sipping on it, drinking it throughout the day, and especially when it comes to staying hydrated in your skin itself. I mentioned the other day on a program I'm going to be releasing soon that your lungs are the biggest organ in your body. Not actually true. Some define our skin as an organ, therefore it becomes the biggest organ in our bodies, and we may as well be taking care of it. Now, I'll admit, here's what's actually happened over the course of the last 2 weeks. I've made myself a guinea pig. I basically, for 2 weeks, avoided and overlooked all these things I've told you today, waited and waited and waited to see how dry my skin would get, and it got awful. My hands are cracked, bleeding, split, killing me, hurting. Then I turned around last week and started implementing these things like taking cooler showers, moisturizing after the shower, using oat baths, humidifiers, petroleum jelly, watching my hand sanitizers, and drinking plenty of water. 100% better. I'm telling you, it worked for me. You may have different opinion. And by the way, this is the type of program where I don't think there's any necessarily wrong answers. So if you would like to comment below, I would love to hear from you. The Transplant Helper community would love to hear from you, albeit this is not necessarily a transplant issue per se. It is something that most of us deal with, especially as we're trying to stay well. So I'd love for you to hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not. And especially right now, comment below. Tell us what you're doing to help out with dry skin issues. I appreciate you joining me today. And as always, stay stronger, friends.